Okay, with question number 1, we have to write the reaction out in words, identify the type, and balance. All right, so that's what we have to do for each one of these 3 marks. Okay, 2 elements reacting to form a single compound is what kind of reaction? Synthesis reaction. That's 1 mark. If they have synthesis, give them a mark. Okay, we have to write it out in words. So we're looking at beryllium plus oxygen. Oxygen gives us beryllium oxide. If theirs looks like that, give them a mark. No capitals. Okay, and then lastly, we got to balance. Beryllium's already balanced, but there's 2 oxygens on the reactant side, so a 2 needs to go here, and by doing that, I also need a 2 there. So if they have it balanced like that, that's their 3rd mark. Okay, questions on number 1. Okay, question number 2. I've got an ionic compound reacting with an element to form a new ionic compound, new element. That is a single replacement, right? Okay, so they have single replacement, give them a mark. Okay, written out in words, we've got calcium carbonate, okay, plus lithium, gives us lithium carbonate, okay, plus calcium. Okay, 1 mark for that. And then we have to balance. Right now there's 1 calcium on both sides, there's 1 carbonate on both sides, but there's 2 lithiums on the product side, but only 1 over here. So a 2 there will balance the reaction. 1 mark for that. Questions on number 2? Alright, question number 3. 2 ionic compounds are reacting to form 2 new ionic compounds. What kind of reaction? Double replacement. Okay, so 1 mark for double replacement. Okay, written out in words, we have iron 2, Roman numeral 2, oxide. Okay, plus sodium bromide. Okay, gives us iron, Roman numeral 2, bromide. Okay, plus sodium oxide. Okay, 1 mark for that. And then we got a balance. Right now there's 2 bromines on the product side, but only 1 here. So putting a 2 there makes both the sodium and the bromine balance. So if they have a 2 there, give them their 3rd mark for that one. Okay, questions on the first 3? All right. Okay, so for the following reactions, write out the reaction in formula form. Identify the type and balance. Copper 2 nitride, that's Cu. Okay, with an N here, this is -3, so the 3 goes there. This is +2, so the 2 goes there. Breaks down into nitrogen gas and copper. How do you know that that's N2? Nitrogen always has 2, and it's highlighted in yellow on your periodic table. Whenever those ones are by themselves, they are a 2. Okay, so 1 mark if they have that. This is a decomposition reaction, and we are looking now to balance it. Right? Start with the thing present in the largest number first. There's 3 copper. Now there's 3 copper over there, and there's 2 nitrogens on both sides, so now it's balanced. Okay, so 1 mark for the reaction, 1 mark for balancing, 1 mark for decomposition. Okay, C7H16 burns in the presence of oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water. So we're looking at this, C7H16 plus oxygen gas gives us carbon dioxide and water. 1 mark if they have that. The reaction type should be a dead giveaway since burns is in the question. What kind of reaction is it? Combustion. 1 mark for that. Okay. Since it's a combustion reaction, we have 2 special rules. Balance alphabetically and the rule of 2. Do they both apply here? No, the rule of 2 does not apply because we have an odd number of carbons. So 7 7 carbons. 16 hydrogens. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 14 more is 22. So we need an 11 there. Okay, so if they have a balanced correctly, a mark. If they have a written correctly, a mark. If they have combustion, a mark. Questions on number 5? Okay, number 6, potassium permanganate. That's this stuff, KMnO4. This is a -1. This is a +1, so that's swapped and dropped already. Reacts with magnesium hydroxide. Whoop. Okay, magnesium hydroxide is MgOH. However, this is +2, this is -1, so it's MgOH2. And they must have the 2 outside of the brackets. Okay. Our products are then going to be potassium hydroxide and magnesium permanganate. Okay, 1 mark for that. It's 2 ionic compounds making 2 new ionic compounds. What kind of reaction is that? Double replacement, right. Okay, 1 mark for double replacement. Okay, then we've got to balance this whole thing. There's 1 potassium over here. There's 1 potassium over there. There's 1 permanganate, but there are 2 permanganates over here. Okay, so I need to put a 2 here. All right, that gives me 2 potassiums, so I need to put a 2 there, which happens to make my hydroxides work out, and now the equation is balanced. So if they have that, they get the 3rd mark for number 6. All right, for number 7, if I want to predict the products, first step, I got to identify the reaction type. Ionic compound plus ionic compound is a double replacement reaction. In a double replacement reaction, we swap the metals. So that means calcium's new partner is bromine, okay, and iron's new partner is chlorine. Okay, so we got to drop and swap these now. So if they paired them up correctly, give them a mark. 1 mark for having them paired up correctly. Okay, so if they have Ca with Br and Fe with Cl, they can have a mark. Now we got to drop and swap correctly. So we've got CaBr2 and FeCl3, just swapping and dropping. Give them a mark if they have those numbers right. Okay, and last thing is their mark for balancing. I've got 2 chlorine over here, but I've got 3 over there. Lowest common multiple is 6. Okay, and I've got 2 bromine here and 3 over here, so I have to do the same thing. 3, 2, 3, 2. Give them a mark if they have that for the balancing. It's out of 21. So give them a mark out of 21. Let them see it. Bring it up and put it in the period 4 box. Okay, so listen carefully here, guys. This is your first research project in Science 10. All right, so we're going to be going to the library today and tomorrow, and I'll see about maybe next week. Okay, but we probably won't get another day. Okay, you'll be researching a toxin of your choice. All right, now there's some things you're going to have to do in this report that you need to make sure you kind of highlight on here as I'm going along. If I underline or circle anything, make sure you make it look like it's important so you remember to do it too. Okay, so we're looking here at the effect of long-term exposure to a toxic chemical. Okay, this includes not only the health effects of the chemical on whoever's exposed to it, but also the societal costs. Okay, how does this thing that maybe I'm not exposed to still affect me? All right, I mean, we live in Canada. Our healthcare system works a certain way. Okay, that way is this. We all pay taxes. Those taxes cover healthcare. All right, so when somebody gets sick, they're taken care of. All right, it's not like in the States. All right, States is much different. All right, if you get sick, it's your problem. Okay, you go to the hospital and you have to like remortgage your house. All right, that's not the way it works in Canada. Okay, we take care of each other here. Okay, that's just something that we do, but it costs money. Okay, in fact, it costs a lot of money. $1 billion a day in Alberta to run healthcare. Okay, it's a lot of money. All right, and that comes from your taxes. So anytime someone gets sick, okay, whether it's, they just naturally get sick, or they've, done something to themselves where, that's now they're ill, they, whatever, or they get exposed to something at work and it makes them sick, whatever, that has to be paid for somehow, okay? And that comes out of your taxes. So societal costs are, how does this affect me? All right, what if somebody's using illegal drugs and they go postal, okay, and as a result you get hurt, okay? Is that a societal cost? Yeah, you weren't doing drugs, but this person who did and OD'd or whatever and went crazy, okay, affected you in some way. Those are societal costs. How are people who are not actively involved still somewhat involved? Okay, that's what we're looking for in terms of societal costs. Okay, so healthcare, taxation, government regulations, etc. Okay, what if the person who was using drugs went crazy, committed a crime, and got sent to jail? Who pays for that? Us. Yeah. Okay. You pay to incarcerate that person. You pay for their meals every single day, the roof over their head, the heating costs, the guard's salary, all of that, okay, comes out of your taxes. That's a societal cost. Okay, these are the things to think about. All right. So what are also the impacts of people using or being exposed to this chemical? Again, behavior costs, addiction treatment, emotional impacts. Okay. So the scope of this paper goes beyond telling me this stuff is poisonous, Mr. Coder, you shouldn't drink it. Okay. It's got to be more than that, all right? This stuff can also affect you or someone else in this way. Okay, so some suggestions for your project. Okay, could be health hazards due to excessive consumption of alcohol and nicotine or other drugs, exposure to toxic substances. Okay, this one's kind of, I put it in almost as a joke. Okay, mercury in amalgam fillings. Anybody got silver fillings? Yeah, most of you guys probably wouldn't have them, right? Because there was this big scare a number of years ago. It was actually a scam. Okay, two guys were removing all these people's amalgam fillings because amalgam contains a small amount of mercury. Okay, and it was in people's fillings. But your fillings don't dissolve. The mercury wasn't, going into your body. That, and there's more mercury in a can of tuna than there is in a dental filling, right? But they convinced these people they should take them out. Okay, so mercury. You can get it in fish. You can get it, in certain water samples and supplies and things like that. It's not good for you. Okay, it's a heavy metal. It causes all kinds of heavy metal poisoning effects on people. Okay, radon buildup in homes. Environmental concerns related to the handling, storage, and disposal of heavy metals, strong acids, flammable gases, or any other topic you have interest in. The thing to keep in mind here is this: a lot of people like to do drugs. Do their project on drugs. Got to qualify the way I say that. Okay, they like to do their project on a drug for this toxin project, and while that's okay, all right, you need to make sure that you are talking about the active toxic ingredient, okay, or ingredients in that particular drug. All right, because a lot of people, they'll say, well, I want to do my project on, on marijuana, for example. Okay, well, marijuana is a plant. Okay, but there are chemicals within the plant that are toxic. That is what you need to talk about. You can say, this project is about the use of marijuana. Marijuana has these following toxic chemicals in it. Okay, and then you talk about the toxic chemicals. Everybody follow? Okay, if you just talk about the plant, I'm going to go plants, okay, versus toxic chemicals. What were you supposed to talk about? Okay. All right, so project outline. Report on the chemical nature of your toxin. What type of chemical is it? Is it an ionic compound, a molecular compound? Is it organic? Okay, does it come from, from plants, or does it have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in it? That's what organic means. Okay, it has carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in it, sometimes nitrogen as well. Okay, how is its chemical structure related to its toxicity? What is it about it that makes it toxic? All right, example, carbon monoxide is toxic because its chemical nature makes it so that it bonds strongly to hemoglobin. And if it bonds to hemoglobin, that's the stuff that's in your blood, by the way, the hemoglobin can't bond to oxygen and take it to places in your body where it's needed. Okay, that's its chemical nature. All right, that's the kind of thing we're looking for there. What type of chemical, how does it cause damage to human tissue? All right, what part of the body does it affect the most? Okay, does it affect the lungs? Does it affect the brain? Does it affect the liver? Okay, how does it affect them? What does it do to them? All right, Okay, what are its other toxic effects? Okay, what kind of symptoms is this person going to show? All right, are they going to look perfectly normal? Are their bones going to deteriorate and they're going to end up hunched over? Okay, or what is it? Okay, what are the toxic effects, Caroline? That's a contradiction in terms. There's no good toxin. It's like military intelligence. All right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can't. There's no good toxins. If something's good, it's not toxic. Okay. All right. In terms of societal effects, okay, the area is more open. So essentially, your project consists of two halves. You're telling me about the chemical part of this thing, and then you're telling me about the societal effects. All right. Those should have equal weight in your report. All right, equal weight. Oftentimes, people are like chemical, 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 and then they have one sentence. This stuff's really bad. All right, that's not good enough. Okay, we're looking at half here. All right, so things to explore. Is the exposure to the toxin by choice? Okay, alcohol, nicotine, drugs, okay, things like that. Or is it something they might encounter in the workplace? That's not really a choice, then you're exposed to it there. Okay, in nature, okay, it's just something, maybe some places have more of this stuff than others, and by the fact that you live there, you're exposed to it more. Okay, what are the costs? I'm not looking for a dollar figure here. Okay, I'm not saying you need to go out and find out how many millions of dollars alcoholism costs the average taxpayer. You'll never find that number anywhere. Okay, what I'm looking for here is, do people end up in the hospital? Where does that money come from? Okay, does this cause, things like maybe car accidents? Does it relate to your insurance? Okay, is there, the stuff we talked about like jail and stuff like that? Are all those things are societal costs? Are they impacting you? I'm not looking for this many dollars and cents. Okay, I'm just looking, here are the costs. All right. Other things, guys, that aren't necessarily a dollar figure. Okay, imaging facilities. How many of you have ever had to get a CAT scan or an MRI? How long did you have to wait? A while. Okay, why is that? Because lots of people need them and there aren't that many. All right, so if you've got people that are getting sick, if they're sicker than you, they might get in before you. You have to wait longer. Is that a societal cost? It affected you. Okay, you have to wait longer. That's not good. All right, so those are societal costs. All right, and then lastly, your opinion. Based on what you learned about this toxin, what are your feelings on it? Should it be banned? Should there be greater restrictions, lesser restrictions, regulations, etc. put on its use or disposal? All right, citing your references / plagiarism. Copying and pasting is plagiarism. You can't do it. I'll know if you do. Okay? I'll know if you copy and paste from somewhere else. There's just so many ways that I can tell if you did it. Okay? Especially if I'm reading your report, I don't understand it. Okay? If it's talking over my head, like it's a graduate level thesis, okay, that some guy with a biochem degree wrote, I'll know you didn't write it. Okay? And I'll ask you, what's this word mean? If you don't know what it means, you didn't write it. Okay? Things like that. All right. So make sure, guys, that you're reading stuff. Yes, you can, copy it to a file, but it can't end up directly in your report the way it is. All right. You need to process it, put it in your own words. All right, guys. Plagiarism is a big deal. All right. If you plagiarize your report, you're going to get a 0. All right. You don't want to have to be facing that. This is worth a fair amount of marks. All right. So please make sure that you are not doing that, putting yourself in that situation. It's an even bigger deal at the next level. Okay, you get caught plagiarizing in university, you get kicked out, and you don't get your money refunded, and it follows you around like a criminal record every time you apply to a new university. Oh, that guy's a cheater. No, we're not going to let him in. Okay, I'm serious. It does. It follows you around, so you don't want to get involved in it. What's that? Yes, that's what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so the way you cite your references, okay, if you use a book or a magazine or something like that, you use this method. Author's last name, author's first name, name of the article. Okay, so in this case it's Douglas Chadwick, and his article was Elephants, Out of Time, Out of Space, and it was in National Geographic, volume 179, number 5, from 1991, pages 2 to 49. All right, so if it was a book or a magazine or something like that, that's how you would cite it. Probably you guys are just going to use websites. Okay, websites are harder to cite because people don't like to put their name on stuff on the internet for some reason. Okay, if you are having a difficult time finding a lot of this information from a website you're using, chances are the website's not that credible. All right? Crackpot Joe's website about pot smoking, okay, is probably not a credible website to use, because this is some guy that lives in his mom's garage and, you know, okay, yeah, it smokes dope all day. So, yeah, his site's probably going to be a little slanted, and probably so is he. All right, so you probably want to be looking at the websites you go to. Make sure they're credible. Go to a government website. Go to a university website. Okay, go to websites of, you know, companies or institutions that have some reputation. All right, you have to kind of watch where you get your info from. Again, to cite a website, author's last name, author's first name, date the article was posted. All right, hopefully it's not 1995. Okay, but the date the article was posted. All right, if you can't find that, the last day the site was updated will do fine. Okay, usually you can find that on a website. All right, then the name of the article, and then the name of the website. All right, so you know, you'd say, you know, Vive le Quebec, Vive le Canada, that was in the Daily News. Then you can give me the URL, www.mrcodere-I-didn't-steal-this-stuff.com. Okay, and then the day you accessed it. Hopefully not October 29th, 1995. Okay, you need to have a minimum of 5 references. Google is not a reference. I see that all the time. People like www.google.com. That's a search engine. Okay, it is not a source of information. Okay, it takes you to sources of information. All right. Here's the thing. Oftentimes, people forget to do this part, and they'll give me 5 URLs. Okay, www.I-didn't-listen-to-Mr.-Codere-when-he-told-me-how-to-do-this.com. www.I-willingly-sacrifice-all-5 of my references cited marks because I didn't listen to Mr. Codere.com. No, I'm making this up. Okay? If all you write is the URL, you're going to get like 1 out of 5, okay, for your bibliography. It needs to be in this format. All right? Everybody with me there? Okay. Planning. You need to have a little bit of that. Okay, you need to tell me, here's the things I'm going to talk about. Okay, you can have like a thought web, an outline, you know, and a timeline is also a good thing to have on there for your planning. You know, I'm going to work on it on this day, and again on this day. I'll have it ready for Mr. Codere to look over and scheduled help for this day. I'll do my revisions on this day and have it ready to go. Okay, simple as that. I mean, if you just have a timeline that looks something like that, that's a good part of your planning. Okay, but you should have thought web, outline, and a timeline, I would say, as minimum requirements for planning. Okay, 5 marks for that. Right, so make sure you do a good job of that. All right, and then so the scope of this needs to be between 800 and 1,000 words. Now that can be, you can do a PowerPoint presentation, that's fine, but the word count still matters. Okay, on your PowerPoint, you got to have 800 to 1,000 words. All right, chances are, guys, you're going to need more than 1,000. You might need to go a little bit over 1,000 if you want to do a really good job. Okay, if you have like 750, you would have a really hard time doing a good job of this lab report. Okay, or sorry, not this lab report, this project. So make sure you're thorough. Now that said, I don't want a 5,000 word paper handed in to me either. I don't have that kind of time. Okay, if it takes me too long to read and I start getting bored, I'll probably just stop where I think about 1,500 words is. Okay, and say you couldn't say it quick enough. All right, everybody follow. All right, so the 5 places you're getting marked. 5 marks for your planning, 5 marks for your analysis and interpretation. Okay, and that's, you know, talking about the societal effects, talking about the chemical nature, that kind of thing. Okay, your communication. When I read your report, did it make sense? Okay, did it look like a 15, 16-year-old person wrote it? All right, it wasn't like reading, you know, the stuff my kid brings home from grade 1. Okay, or it was not also worded as a doctorate level thesis, i.e. you cheated. Okay, it wasn't one long sentence. It wasn't all one paragraph. You laugh. You wouldn't believe what I have seen. Okay? Research and investigation. Did you use your time effectively? Is your bibliography in the right format? Do you have credible sources? Wikipedia, by the way, is not a credible source. Okay? You can forget about Wikipedia right now. Okay? Don't even bother going there. because they are so far behind in their fact checking, they think they're in front of their fact checking. Okay? So don't bother. All right? I use this as an example because it actually happened. Right? I had a kid who did his report on crystal methamphetamine one year. Okay? And he wrote in there, Adolf Hitler died of a crystal meth overdose. And I'm like, where did you get that from? Adolf Hitler died of an acute case of Luger in mouth blowing brains out. Okay? That's what killed Adolf Hitler. He didn't die of a crystal meth overdose. Okay? But he said, well, it said that on Wikipedia. And I said, show me. Sure enough, right there in Wikipedia. Okay? In the crystal methamphetamine history part, it said, Adolf Hitler died of a crystal meth overdose. Please confirm. You know, it has that thing that says this has not been verified. Okay? Don't bother going there. Anybody can write stuff on Wikipedia. Okay? We actually did an experiment. We wrote something in another thing for Wikipedia, and it took like 2 weeks for it to be removed. Okay? As confirmed as not true. It's ridiculous. So I wouldn't use it if I were you. Okay? All right. And then your last 5 marks overall. Okay? Format, creativity, okay, quality, that kind of thing. Okay? Just make sure that it looks good when you hand it in. All right? In fact, you're not actually going to hand in physically anything. You're going to electronically submit this to me, okay? Same as before. All right? You can use, what's that? Well, draw them in paint and insert them. Scan them, insert them, okay? All right. You know what, guys? We're not going to get any time in the lab today because it's already 3:20. So I will book another day next week because I want you to have 2 days, okay, to work on this. But here's what you can do right now. You got 10 minutes to get your planning together. All right? So you can plan a little bit and then just retype that, put it into your report later. But you can get your planning kind of started here. This is individual, by the way. Each person will be handing in their own. I haven't decided when. It'll be a couple weeks yet. No, put it all in one file, sections. Yes, sorry, guys, the thing I forgot to talk about here, visual aids, okay? Make sure you got pictures, okay? I like to see pictures when I'm reading stuff, otherwise I get bored, okay? Okay, put pictures in. No, because you can't hand that to me electronically. Yes. Okay, listen up here, guys. Due date for this is going to be March 17th. That will give you 2 weeks from Monday. We are going to be in the computer lab tomorrow and Monday working on this. All right, so you will have 2 weeks to get it done. Past the last day, you have class time to work on it. You will only get class time tomorrow and Monday. All right, after that, it is up to you, all right, to get it completed.